All right. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Chicane Club live stream. How's everyone doing tonight? I think it's going to be a wet one tonight, boys. We're racing from Imola circuit in northern Italy. Very famous Italian Grand Prix circuit. Believe it's owned by Ferrari, as nearly every track in Italy is somehow, not coincidentally. Um, yeah, this is one of my favorite Italian circuits. Everyone knows Monza as the Temple of Speed. For what it is, awesome racetrack. But in terms of character and a really flowing track, Imola is one of my all-time favorites. I've been driving it for years in Assetto Corsa. I have very limited time with Imola here in iRacing, um, especially in the wet. So this one's going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to this. Knowing it so well from Assetto Corsa, it was a very natural transition. The track models are very, very similar. This one's going to be really fun. Imola has a really big history in Formula One and in sports car racing otherwise. Unfortunately, the thing that Imola is perhaps most famous for is the very tragic death of Ayrton Senna in 1994. Actually, at the corner that I just drove through. I hate that that's the most famous thing that this track has, because it takes away from how awesome this place is otherwise. But yeah, this place is amazing. A lot of TV shows have filmed here. I know Lamborghini's held their World Finals here for a number of years on and off, even though it's a Ferrari track, so figure that one out. Tonight I'm driving in a German car, as always, back in the Mercedes AMG GT3 2020 version. As I alluded to, and as you can see here, it is going to be a wet one tonight. Or we think so. we did a practice race earlier today getting ready for this. Schedule and iRacing forecast said, oh, it's going to be 90% wet. So we've been testing all week in wet weather, getting comfortable with everything, where the puddles are, where the streams are, and then we launch into the actual race session. And for the first time, Imola is dry, and we were a little bit caught off guard with it. So we did no dry driving, because it was pretty clear to us that it was going to be a wet race, and lo and behold, it was a dry one. So we had to very quickly figure it out. So that was fun. So there is a likelihood that tonight's race will be dry, but I think it's about 90% chance on the forecast that it's going to be wet. So I think that's where we're going to be. So all the prep we're doing has been in the wet. I can figure this place out in the dry pretty quickly. And from the work we did earlier today, we've got a setup that works really good in both the wet and the dry. So, yeah, this is going to be a fun one. I'm at right around a 2 minute, 1 second lap time right now, but in the dry, we'll be all the way down. And I think, Garrett, were we in the 46s earlier today in the dry? Something like that?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so we're
That was no practice, but so yeah, about a 46.
Yeah, I think we'll shave off about 15 seconds here as things dry up. So we'll see. It's probably going to be some changing conditions, which is awesome to play around in. Leaves a little bit of room for some clever strategies that we might experiment with. If it's wet, like we are pretty confident that it will be given the forecast, we're naturally going to start on our wet tires, but we'll see. Maybe later in the race when we have to take our stop, maybe we'll take 2 new rain tires on the outside right side. And maybe we'll take, if we really think it's going to be dry conditions and maybe we see some others try it out and see how quick they are, maybe we'll take 4 new dry tires. But we did a good bit of testing in drying conditions on slick tires earlier this week. And the only thing harder to do than drive in the rain on rain tires is to drive in drying conditions on slicks. That is the most treacherous. Ooh, does I make a mistake? That is probably the most treacherous thing you could do. It's obviously when you're on a drying line, just the heat from the cars and then continually cars passing over the same racing line, it slowly wicks all the moisture off the track, especially with the ground effects on all the cars. Ooh, and I'm going off. Yeah, the racing line will naturally tend to dry if it's not actively precipitating. just like in real life. So if it dries enough to the point where the actual racing line is dry, like actually not wet at all, then being on a slick tire is really pretty fast there. But do not leave that line. It is slicker on the slick tire to be in the wet than you could ever possibly imagine. So it's a really risky way to go fast. But if you can make it work, you could be 5 to 10 seconds a lap faster than everyone. So it's kind of a roll of the dice. Well, but because we don't know what the weather is actually going to be at that point in the race, we'll have to decide when we get there. So that's going to be a fun one to pay attention to tonight. So, how's everyone doing tonight? How's it going back there, Garrett?
Very good, very good.
Yeah. Doesn't look like we have much traffic to talk about right now in this test session.
Yeah, it's pretty empty.
Yeah, what is that? Just one other GTP and P2, it looks like.
Yeah, and then one other GT3, but he's nowhere near us.
Yeah. So this is going to be a fun one. If this is your first time watching one of our streams, well, please, we want to give you a very warm welcome for joining. This is our fourth one for week 4 of season 2, 2024 in iRacing. So thank you for joining us. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have joined us before, well, welcome back. Well, this is going to be a fun one tonight. I've got the heart rate monitor on through my smartwatch. Only at 85 right now. I think we're going to be in the hundreds tonight, though, for sure. What did we get to last time, TJ? I think 115 or something at the start of the race at Portimao? Something like that?
I had an active bet going with Daphne if you're going to break 120, and you broke it by 1 beat per minute.
What's the bet for tonight, then?
Well, obviously you're in much better shape than I am because my heart rate got up to 141 during my race earlier this week. So I would dare to say that 122. Let's see if it gets up there in the rain with 122.
Okay, what's the bet?
Oh,
What's the take on that?
I'll take $5 and 125 just for the carnage in 5 and 6.
Yeah, it may peak at the start of the race. These chicanes here.
Accepted.
Yeah. Oh, see. All right. Well, I think that's my first unforced error crash on one of these live streams. I'm gonna just reset here. All right. Well, I don't know if I want to even take a bet on that or if it's appropriate for me to do so, but I am definitely be in better shape for these. Try to get a bike ride in once a week. But yeah, these are fun. But for those of you who are new to the live stream, again, welcome. Hope you guys have a fun time tonight. As you can probably tell if you've watched other live streams on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, or otherwise, you can probably tell that this sim setup is a bit more hardcore than we've probably seen before. So I'm currently sitting in and driving a CXE Motion Pro 2 sim. They're a company that is based over in LA that delivers fully turnkey systems. So when you order a sim from them, you custom spec everything that you would like, and they deliver it fully installed, ready to drive as is. We have a couple special options that we chose for ours so that we can use them in our space here. We've built a whole business around this sim, and there's an identical one on the other side of my right screen here. This one's got red seat belts, that one's got blue. That's the only difference between them. They both have motion on the seat, 2-degree freedom. You can see so that I feel bumps, curbs, wheel lockup, gear shifts, pavement changes, hydroplaning now with the rain. You name it. We've done a lot of tuning to get it to feel really good. And I say all the time, and this is totally true. If we turn the motion off and I try to come in here and drive, it's like driving with one eye closed. Ooh, overcooked it again. It's like driving with one eye closed, and I make a whole lot of errors because it's like sensory deprivation that I'm not getting some sensory input that I'm expecting every time. So this motion system, it's really good if you ask me. And we've done a lot of work to fine tune it. And a lot of the pro drivers that we do a lot of hardcore pro coaching stuff with, man, it feels like it's getting wetter out here. A lot of them have said that this is some of the best motion systems that they've been on, even exceeding some of the factory driver in the loop sims, believe it or not. So we're pretty proud of that. What I'm looking at, you can kind of see Below me, in the command center view, you can see the 3 screens that are here. I've got 3 77-inch screens running in 2K at 120 frames per second, with G-Sync and HDR and kind of the whole 9 yards with all that. So we've got our settings turned up pretty high right now. So what I'm looking at is super smooth. And it really is a big advantage driving in the rain, being able to see very clearly off in the distance where the moisture is on track. That's a big part of driving in the rain. Not just the cool graphics effect of driving in the rain and dealing with all that, but actually just seeing where the water is on track, where the puddles are, where you can see the formation of a dry line. That stuff is really important. So having a really good display like this, I think it's a bit of an advantage for us. So in terms of peripherals here, we've got DXC's proprietary steering system here based on the Leo Bodnar system. So this can generate up to 40 Newton meters of torque, which you don't know what that means. It's a lot. It's enough. It's far exceeding what we actually use on a regular basis here, just simply because if we turned it up that high, it totally exceeds the force feedback you'd actually get in any real car. I think the only asterisk to that is driving an Indy car at the Indy 500. The cornering load in that is pretty heavy, but this could handle that too. So we have that turned down a bit and obviously fine-tuned so that it feels really good. But this system here is the same steering hardware used by a lot of the factory sims that are out there for their driver in the loop simulation. So it doesn't get better than this. I'm turning an MPI wheel that's been custom built by CXC with all pro-grade motorsports hardware. So the shift switches, the paddles, all the buttons that I'm touching, and even the wheel itself are straight out of a real race car. So this is not a sim toy. It's all real stuff here. I'm sitting in a Sawbelt GT pad seat that we can configure with different size pads for everyone that comes in here all the time. I've got a 6-point Sawbelt formula harness 2-inch width that we use so that we can use Hans devices in here. That part's really nice. And when you couple that with the motion and the seat belt tensioners, I get a lot of feedback from braking. I'll talk about the pedals in a second, but one of the big separators between pro sim racers, just in racing in general, whether it's sim or real life, the thing that ultimately separates the good from the better, from the best from the Verstappens, is their ability to use the TC called me out there again. Shame on me. I'm going to reset. Is the ability to use the brake pedal. And in a real car, obviously you have the feedback of the G-force on you being pushed forward when you're hitting the pedal. So a lot of it is the pedal control, but also the sensation that you have from braking and actually slowing the car. Well, even though I'm not physically braking from 170 miles an hour to 60 in turn 1 and 2 here, I do get some feedback through the seat belts that tells me that how hard I'm braking, how intense I'm feeling it, and in real time, so that it really becomes a useful feedback tool. So it's not just a cool gimmick, it's really a sensory input that I'm very finely tuned in with to use that helps me with my driving. So and then on the pedals that you'll see on the bottom right of my center screen display, I'm rocking some Star Wars Rebellion socks tonight. If anyone's caught up on that, thank you, TJ, for bringing them in. I think we're going to try to get some cool socks here in the future every week.
My pleasure.
So that is a Tilton pedal set out of a real car. So it's a hydraulic pedal or a hydraulic brake pedal pushing through 2 dual masters through a balance bar. And then rather than going to an ABS system or being distributed to the 4 corners of the car, it goes to a kind of like a clutch slave cylinder that squeezes a bump rubber that we can adjust. So you get different pedal feels, and we can, of course, calibrate it to require different forces to get the car to stop. So in terms of PC stuff, the easiest way to describe is that it's got a 39D Ti with all i9 latest gen everything. So we don't have a 4090 in there only because we can't package it into our tower, and power and heat and all these other things become an issue. And frankly, I don't want to say it's overkill. We are the kings of overkill here, but it's just not in the cards for what we have with our current system. So yeah, if you guys have other specific questions on our sim hardware that you see here, please let us know. But all of that's to say that this is about a $100,000 sim. Yes, that is a whole lot of money to be doing some sim racing on. Totally understand that. We're not just doing this live stream and doing some private sim racing though. We built our whole business model around having these all the time. So if you guys want to see what this is like to drive for yourself, which is what these are here for, that's what we have our membership for. So if you got a sim at home, a lot of our members have sims at home that they come in and practice. They do all their practice at home with, and they come in here and they get to drive the real thing all the time. So that's what this is for here. And we obviously do a lot of professional driver coaching with racers of all levels. So junior drivers, gentlemen drivers, young pros, veterans. We've had Logan Sargent has been in this seat, Kyle Kirkwood, Oliver Askew, Santino Ferrucci. Who else am I missing?
Neil Verhagen.
Neil Verhagen, a factory BMW driver. Shane Lewis, who's a veteran sports car guy.
Charles Espinlaub. Joe Foster.
Joe Foster. We've had a lot of pros in this seat before, and a lot of them coming here in the future as well. So we do everything with sim racing at all levels. So if you've never been in a sim before, please don't be intimidated. That's what this we can make that happen too, and put on really cool events and get you trained to go faster from any level, from total novice to literally Formula One driver. So if it can be done in a sim, we will do it and we'll make it happen for you.
You guys were actually the first sim that I was in since doing Gran Turismo as a kid. I didn't know that they upgraded from the standalone pedals and Logitech wheel until we met up with you guys there at the St. Pete Indy race. And after some years or months of saving and coming up here, it's been absolutely amazing seeing your guys' journey, your business grow, but also being able to get in a test drive and catch the sim racing bug.
Oh, we're so glad to have inspired you with all of this. And obviously you've got your stream going now, so you've come quite a long way. But the thing I always apologize to people for is that if it's the first time they've ever driven, I apologize that it's going to be anything they've ever driven afterwards will never live up to what they drove with us for the first time. So it's like the first time you drive a supercar or Ferrari or something crazy, nothing will ever feel as cool as that ever again, unfortunately. So I apologize in advance for that. So
it's okay. It's okay. That's why we come to the Chicane Club, is so that we get that top of the notch feel.
yeah, you got it. What have you been racing on your live streams lately? I was just watching, I think your 992 Cup race at Road Atlanta the other day.
That is correct. I've been doing the Porsche Cup, and I guess there's a few things in there I didn't know, that it doesn't have traction control, doesn't have anti-lock brakes, if I'm not mistaken. But it's really helped me hone in. I was going for the GR butt kicker all races in season 1, and then now I believe that we've officially started season 2 or Q2, and I made the goal to just do Porsche Cup races with some rallycross whenever I'm feeling a little bit tired of the road stuff. But yeah, it's been fun. There is a huge learning curve with that car, and sometimes the competition gets the best of us, but it's been an absolute pleasure to have fun in there.
Yeah, that's good. That car is very difficult to drive. Honestly, to me, it's a bit harder to drive in some ways than GT3s. Just that, like you said, it doesn't have traction control and it doesn't have anti-lock brakes. So it means you have to be very, very careful with both of your feet, because the traction control is your right foot and your left foot, not an electronic aid like this car has. So it teaches a lot of really good precision for you to work on long term. That stuff, even though you may drive a car with traction control or ABS, anti-lock brakes later, to have the discipline of knowing how to modulate that stuff without those aids is still a really good skill to have. Generally speaking, we don't want to rely so much on traction control and ABS. We want to try, even driving a car like this, the traction control and ABS will still be better than me, but you don't want to just blatantly rely on it to do all the work all the time. So to develop your skills with a car that doesn't have them whatsoever and know how to find the limit without any safety net is a really good skill to have. So props to you, TJ, for working through that.
Just always got to get better. One day
Oh,
I'll get
yeah.
a podium in the Porsche Cup. Then I'll know that I was a success. But no more moving to GT3s until I get a podium in Porsche Cup. That's my goal.
I'll help you make that happen.
All right.
So I know we've also got Replica Racing in the house tonight. So Josiah from Replica Racing does all of our liveries. He's got the Mercedes livery that we're driving right now that you guys see the thumbnail of to the left of my display. And he does all of our imagery, screenshots, and iRacing, Assetto Corsa, you name it. He's the graphic whiz with all that. So are you on there, Josiah?
I am here.
Hey, how's it going tonight, dude?
Very cool. This is one of the most exciting things I think I've seen for a streaming platform.
Cool. Well, we're flattered to hear that. So, thanks for coming out. What are you working on right now in terms of liveries and whatnot? Aside from, I know we've got a couple of projects cooking, but what are you working on your own right now?
Currently trying to finish up a RSR. I tried to mimic one of the good old Rexy liveries there. Finished the green one. Trying to work on the Roxy livery now.
Oh, is it purple? Oh, pink.
Pink. Yep.
That one's cool.
Yeah.
I think every iRacing lobby I've been in with the GT3R, technically not the RSR, but the GT3R has the. I guarantee we're going to see a Roxy livery or a Rexy livery, excuse me, tonight at some point. So it's definitely a popular choice on the new Porsches.
Yeah, seems that way.
Yeah, right. And you just launched a new website, I think last week, right?
Yeah, I did. If you're watching and if you want a custom livery or anything done, you can head over to the website and send me a message on there, and we'll take care of you.
Awesome. Well, thanks, dude. Have a fun time tonight. Enjoy. We got to get some more headsets in here so we can all be talking at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, dude. So, Garrett, how far out are we from the race lobby being open?
I believe it actually should be open. It's about 8:22 now.
Okay.
So you should be able to hop in whenever you're ready.
Okay. Kind of just putzing along here right now. Wish there was more traffic to work with, but it's been all right so far. Yeah, if you guys are watching tonight, we'll do our best to answer some questions, even if it is during the race. I might be a bit preoccupied, but you get them in there and we'll get them answered at some point here. All right, I'm going to do one more lap and we're going to do, let's do a practice stop, Garrett. So we'll take full load of fuel and right side rain tires, please. We'll do that this lap. So, I don't know if we've explained it in the past before, but Garrett, who's sitting behind me, you can see on the command center view if you want to wave to everyone for us, Garrett. So Garrett's in here with me all day, every day. He's our simulation operator, so he knows everything from the tech side, getting people in the sims, all the back end stuff. He's really the tech wizard that makes all the stuff work in here. I'm just the one that uses it. He is, for these live streams, he is logged in as a crew chief and spotter for me. So he is logged in on a separate PC where he can control all the different camera views, and he's watching me in quite nearly real time. Depending on the iRacing server that we're working through, it can be anywhere up to 1 second behind, which is a little annoying to deal with, but we're doing the best we can. That's really totally out of our control. A little sideways. So in addition to being able to spot for me from different camera perspectives and seeing other cars and incidents and everything ahead and behind, he's also able to adjust what I need for pit stops in real time. So if I'm going to take fuel, how much fuel do I take? What tires do I take? What tire pressures? Kind of a bunch of other settings. So he's remotely connected to my session through a different computer. He happens to be in the building, but he could equally be on the other side of the planet doing all this. But obviously having him here in person and being on a local TeamSpeak server is obviously a huge value add. It makes our job a little bit easier. So, all right, box coming to the pit lane. Gonna do a practice stop. Might have. Oh, no black flag. I was pretty close to speeding there. So, all right, we're gonna take a full load of fuel just for practice and right side tires. Okay. Why we do this for practice is that the tires that I'm coming in on, they're a bit worn naturally, but they're also quite hot. But this is probably the pit parameters that we're going to have during the race, where we take a full load of fuel and then just right side tires, given that they are essentially free, meaning that we can take 2 tires in the time that it takes to fuel the car, but to take a third or fourth tire would cost additional time. So we'll take what we can get without taking additional tires. The thing that we always want to practice is that I come out of pit lane and my new right side tires, while they are new, they're cold. And even in the rain here, tire temperature is actually just as important as it is in the dry. So I just want to work through what it's like. What does it feel like to have cold right side tires? We're not finding out during the race, so it's not a surprise for me. We did talk about earlier today that if it dries enough during the race, that I may go to full dry tires. I need to be really convinced that that's going to be the best option for us. Oops, it's still, even in these practice conditions, it's still awfully slick, even on the wet tire. So I think going to dry slicks would be a very poor decision right now. But I just wanted to, we'll definitely consider it. If I see a real dry line forming and seeing some of the other cars taking dry tires, then we'll definitely consider it in real time. So. All right, I want to do one more lap, and then we'll move over to the race lobby. Ooh. We've also got, for another guest in the building, we've got Daphne and I's dog. Daphne is my wife and our marketing director. She's the one moderating the YouTube chat. So if you guys see Team Chicane Club, or excuse me, the Chicane Club, responding to your comments, that's her doing that. So, but we've also got our little dog, Bo, who's been quite the center of attention in these streams in the past. So I don't know if he's on the table or saying hi to people. It looks like Rexy's right in front of me right now, Josiah. Ooh, going through the puddle. So this is a matter of catching up and talking about business. I was talking to a good friend of mine, Ross Bentley, yesterday. If you guys are sim racers, real racers, or pay attention to motorsports, you've probably heard Ross's name before. He's a longtime veteran race car driver and probably one of the most prominent driver coaches in the world of motorsports anywhere. It's an absolute pleasure for me that I even get to talk to him ever. But him and I have kind of gotten to be good friends over the past couple of years. We were just talking yesterday, catching up about a couple of things, and we were talking about iRacing's new rain model. I know I've talked about it on here, but he was equally as impressed with what they're doing with it. I think our only comment that we both shared about it is that, as good as it is, it's, I don't know if many other iRacing drivers would love to hear this. It's maybe not even as dangerous or as dicey as it is to drive in real life, believe it or not. The thing we were talking about was that, like, so, as difficult as it is to manage the grip and finding the dry line and whatnot, one of the things that's a huge element in driving in the wet in real life is avoiding painted surfaces, avoiding curbs, avoiding sealant spots, oil spills, whatever that is. Whether you see them or not, they are as slick as the paved surface may be. Any of those surfaces are much closer to the actual grip you'd get driving over real ice. So there, you have to really, really, really avoid them. And our comment was that iRacing, it doesn't seem like it's as much of a grip penalty to drive over them as perhaps it would be in real life. Like there's a number of curbs like there that I can take. I can take this apex curb. It doesn't really seem to bother me too much. I can use track out curbs in a lot of places. Here, normally conventionalism would be to stay away from this inside line, but I can kind of get on there and then use this track out without much issue, where in real life, you go on them, instant wheel spin, and maybe that turns you around. Maybe you can keep it under control. But believe it or not, as good as this is and as maybe as difficult it is to drive here on iRacing, even without the penalty of, making a mistake and hurting yourself or destroying a car or hurting someone else, even without that in iRacing, this is still not, we agree, was not as difficult as it is to do in real life, safety aside. So interesting that we both shared that perspective. But we may have Mr. Ross Bentley on here at some point, or do some really cool collaborations with him in the future. He's been an awesome resource for us. If you guys haven't heard it or you don't listen to it already, they produce 2 podcasts, Ross and Jeff Brown. The It's Not the Car podcast, which has been new for this year, and then also their No Dumb Questions podcast. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check either of them out right now, or just search Speed Secrets or Ross Bentley on any of your normal podcast locations, and give them a listen. Shout out to Ross if you're watching tonight. Any of you guys on the No Dumb Questions podcast have answered a couple of my questions, some of which pertaining to sim and others just motorsports in general. So love this shout out and love returning the favor. Here, would you mind turning up the fans a little bit in here and turning the air conditioning down?
Of course.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna box this lap. Let this prototype go. Rexy's chasing me down right now. Whoa, a bit deep. All right, I'm gonna box this lap and switch to the race lobby. And I go deep on my way through. Okay. All right. We're gonna leave this session. Always love saving all our replays so we can capture stuff afterwards, review things. All right. All right, got 10 minutes until the official race starts. I'm just hoping it actually rains like it says it's going to, and we don't get some curveball that I have to drive in the dry, because it's hard to practice for the rain and then drive in dry conditions, but what can you do? Got the official Chicane Club Yeti Cup, thanks to the Borg Group Realty. Thanks, shout out to you guys if you're watching this week. If you guys hear a little bit of like buffeting air noise, what that is, we've done a lot of things to try and eliminate it from the audio pickup. But what happens is that we have two fans pointed at me. So there's one right above the primary camera over here, and there's one over to my right. You can't see either of them. What's up?
Camera adjustment, no big deal.
Camera adjustment. Okay, all right. All right.
Big smile, please. Big smile for the camera.
Bo's on camera right now too. Come here, bud. Come here. You want to be internet famous? Well, now you're not in shot, but that's okay. I appreciate the support, bud. All right, thank you guys. Okay, bye. Yeah, the air noise you're hearing is just the fans hitting the microphone. We've done a lot of things to try to eliminate it, but I'm trying to balance me not being in a 100-degree room with making this work. So, if anything, you're getting to experience what it's like to sit in my spot right now. So, all right. So with 8 minutes to go, let's do a mock qualifying. Garrett,
Sorry, what's up?
we're gonna do a mock qualifying.
Sounds like a plan. I'm joining the session now.
All right. Wet tires. This is the right fuel load. Okay. We'll do a qualifying practice. Only difference in this setup tonight for quali versus race is just the fuel load. So I'm running only 11 liters of fuel instead of the maximum mandated 53. So that 42 liters of fuel works out to, I don't know, back of the hand math, something like 100 pounds of weight, which, yeah, car weighs 2,900 pounds. 100 pounds makes a difference. So usually we see something like a 1 second or so lap time difference between qualifying and race trim. And naturally in qualifying setup, I'm trying to push really hard and really go for a big fast lap. Whereas I'm a little bit more conservative in my race trim. That's the hard thing with these rain tires in the wet, just as much as in the dry, but is the tire temperature. It's just, it takes more than one out lap to get temperature into these. So when you start your first qualifying lap, your tires are not up to temperature yet. So they're still cold. They do not feel full of grip, even in the wet conditions, like they would if you gave them another 3-4 laps or so. The dry conditions, you can get them 90% of the way there on your out lap. Well, depending on how long your out lap is, depends on the track. But here, hopefully the qualifying lap would not be as fast if I had another two to put in. But everyone does the same hand with that. We all got our fast laps. Just one out lap. So it is what it is. We're just going to go work from there. Fortunately, or unfortunately, my rating has gone up about 50 points a week or so the last couple of weeks since we've been doing these streams. I've been driving a lot more, putting the work in to get faster. But the downside is that when my iRating goes up, I'm put into higher strength of field races against more difficult drivers. So it means that the odds of a podium are, I wouldn't say out of reach. It's just I'm always racing. The better I get, the better the drivers are that I'm racing against get. So that's what keeps it exciting, though. So when I do get a podium, it's always special. I've got a prototype coming up behind me. Man, like, good thing I know where this track goes, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be lost right now. All right, settle in for a mock qualifying fast lap. Again, we get for qualifying in iRacing, you get an 8-minute window, and you're allowed to do 2 flying laps to set a lap time. So with that in mind, the first one is an out lap to just kind of get your bearings, start putting heat into the tires. And then the first flyer, considering that you get 2, I try to bank a fast lap, a good conservative lap, but just get a lap time in so I have something slightly representative of what I can do. And then assuming that goes to plan and I don't make a mistake, I can push a little bit harder because I have a lap time saved, and I'll go faster on the second one, especially since I'll have more heat in the tires. But if I do make a mistake on the first one, then I at least have one more that I can try to salvage something and put a lap together. The thing that I love about watching these replays of these wet races is that if you watch my hands and the steering input that I'm putting in the wet, the wheel is more often than not facing the opposite direction from where I actually want to go most of the time, just because I'm catching the oversteer almost nonstop in the wet. It is a lot of fun, but it is a whole lot of work and requires a whole lot of focus. Especially in this low speed stuff, the car is just continuously sliding the whole time. All right, so it looks like a 1:59.5 is fast right now. Let's see where I get with this. 2 minutes flat, so I'm pretty quick right now relative to the rest of the field. Again, this is practice, but doesn't hurt to know that you're on the pointy end of the field, relatively speaking. Whew. Feel the car hydroplaning. Definitely feel the tires are a bit more alive right now than they were the last lap. Really careful with my throttle, even with the traction control helping. Whew. Not sure where that prototype thought he was going. Want to help me out with prototypes, Garrett?
Sorry, one more time.
Just help me out with knowing when they're coming.
Yes, sir. You got it. You got one behind you now.
Yep.
Coming around you. Next one is 17.5 seconds out.
Okay.
You get 2 of them.
How far are we out from us moving to the race lobby?
About 2 minutes.
Okay, cool. Whew, big moment. Like we said before, in these wet races, the goal is if I can just survive without being collected or getting into a mistake myself, I think I'll be in the sharp end of the field. All right, 59 flat, I'm still pretty close. I'm going to run out of fuel, so I'm going to get out of the way for all these guys. All right. All right, I'm going to wait here until we move over to the official session because I'm not going to even have enough time to complete a single outlap. So what we've done in the past when we move to these race lobbies, when you actually move into your session where you're assigned to the group of drivers that is around the same strength of field or similar I rating, kind of just, ranked matching. You get a 3-minute practice session, which half of that is eaten up with you just loading into the actual session. In the past, what I've always done is I just simply use that practice session to load into pit lane and see where my pit stall is so that when I come in for my pit stop, I know approximately where I'm going to be stopping, so it's not a surprise when I come in. What we discovered earlier today is that because the weather conditions are super variable and we don't know if we're going to a soaking wet, a damp, or a dry track, I'm going to go out in this practice session to just try to get like a quick 30-second read on what the grip conditions are going to be in qualifying in the race. It does carry over. iRacing takes the the conditions, so it's like from practice to qualifying to race, it's kind of like just one hour period of time at the track. So it's the same time of day. It carries the grip conditions over. So if it's wet, it's wet. If it's dry, it's dry. It's not like it changes from one to the next. So we can kind of just use that practice lap, like a quick sighting lap, just to go out and see things. The only thing we need to be careful of is that if I go off or crash into someone, I do pick up those incident points, and they do affect my safety rating on iRacing when you're in the official practice session. So definitely want to keep it clean. Just want to go out and see everything, keep our noses clean, and see what we can. We'll know pretty quickly whether it's wet or dry. That's not going to be a surprise. But if we can get a feel for how wet it is or how close to dry it is, that'll at least be pretty informative for us. Got any last minute questions before we dig into the fun stuff here tonight, guys?
You want to talk to us about that race car that you have to your left?
Oh, yeah. You know, the real race car that's over there somewhere. You guys can see in the command center view off to the left. Yeah, so that's an actual Porsche 718 GT4 Club Sports MR. In other words, it is the real version of the Porsche GT4 that many of us have driven on iRacing. Car is owned by a friend of ours who's needed a place to keep it, and I've very quickly volunteered it to him to go to put in here, put on display, so that people you know, get to see a real race car. We do obviously a lot of simulated racing stuff, but we also do a lot of real stuff too. So we do a lot of, for our member events, we've used that exact sim model of that exact car for a lot of our stuff for a while. So it's been really cool that people can get in, drive the sim in that car, and then literally get out and hop in the real car and see what everything looks like and how it kind of compares to the real thing, short of actually driving, you know. So I think it's pretty safe to say that this is going to be a wet race. Not that we have a lot of time to do much with this, but at least we know we're going to be driving in a wet one. But Garrett, I'm pretty sure that that number, the 30 liters added at the pit stop, is going to be our number. We'll double check that and I'll confirm, and maybe we'll redo some of the math later in the race, but I think that's going to be a safe number we can default to.
Sounds good.
And I just don't foresee that this is going to dry quickly enough in a 45-minute race that we can possibly have a chance to go to dry tires, but never know. But my prediction is that that will not be the case. It was a bit close. All right, that's all we got there. All right, so next up is qualifying. So like I was saying earlier, we get an 8-minute window to get 1 outlap and 2 flying laps. Our lap times are going to be right around, I assume, the 2-minute mark. So we should have enough of a window there to work with what we need. And naturally, the use of qualifying is to determine the starting order for the race. So depending on what our single fastest lap time is compared with everyone else is how they determine the starting order. So naturally, you want to do as good as you can so you can start as close to the front as possible. So like I was saying earlier, the whole purpose of these outlaps is to try and build as much heat in the tires as we're able to. Don't want to take too much time or burn up the tires too much, but I try to do some big brake stands and hard acceleration. Braking actually generates a whole lot of tire temperature just simply from the grip that we're developing, but also from the heat from the brakes. Obviously in real life, but iRacing does a good job of modeling that here in the sim as well, so it all works the same. Naturally, I don't want to make any mistakes or hit anything, but you know, let's try to aggressively bring the tires up in temperature as quickly as we can, so we have something to work with for our fast lap. Once we're done with this qualifying, there'll be a short, about 2-minute break. In iRacing, we're not going anywhere. And then we'll move over to the grid, and then we're going to have a 45-minute plus 1 lap race. All right, looks like, oh, I think we're in top split again, guys. Oh, no, 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 no. There's a 9,000 iRating in the GTP class and a 7.7 and a 5.1. But at least the prototype class looks like it's super stacked. The GT3 class, I see a bunch in the 4,000, so I'm going to assume that we're in the top split tonight. So, all right, coming out of the final double left here, want to get a really good run and set up a fast lap, and then I'm going to shut up and drive. What I try to do whenever there's an opportunity setting up for a fast lap, if you can take a longer line than normal, this gives more time for the car to accelerate. So that's why I ran a little bit wide there to just give the car a little bit more speed before I cross the line. I'm going to lower my traction control and my ABS by one setting. Oh boy. Caught it, but definitely didn't gain any time. Try to make it up on the next one. Getting traction all the way up in first and second gear, a little bit in third. Take some of that free rotation, please. All right, let's see what this turns for us. Looks like a 202, 201 is fast. Let's see what this does. 202. All right, so I'm in the ballpark. See if we can improve a little bit. Try short shifting to third, stay off of this curb. Big sideways moment. Man. Currently P4. See if I can find something in this last sector. There we go. That was recovering, making it work from the prior lap's mistake. Found some more time there. Let's go. Braking down the middle of the track. Seems like that's where the most grip is. Keep it neat and tidy. Come on. Let's go. Good exit, too. All right, what does that get us? 201.599, 2 seconds off of pole. Well, I'm not a 4,000 iRacing, so I'll take that.
Puts us in 7th place, so it's not a bad place to start.
Yeah.
Right in front of Adam Polster, who actually just dropped in our chat to say hi.
Oh, cool. Hi, Adam.
Also, Adam says, but same split and good luck.
Cool. Let's have a good race, Adam. This will be fun. All right, let's switch over to our race setup. All right, so definitely starting in the wet, full fuel load. Like I said before, this is going to be all about surviving and not making mistakes. So far, had some pretty clean races. Had some minor contact and minor issues, but nothing that's sent me back to pit lane for repairs. Hoping to keep that up. Can't promise anything. We may happen tonight. This is with all the chicanes and braking zones and wet stuff here. Anything's possible. So
You have active bets going on about your heart rate.
Big prototype field. I'm calling it turn 5 and 6. So the GTPs are definitely gonna go ahead and send it off.
yeah, there's going to be some attrition in this one. It's just going to be about not being collected in any of it or not causing it myself. I'm not perfect, so I'm going to do my best. Whew. All right, I'm feeling the pressure though. I don't know. I feel like we've done so well in all these races so far that it's bound to go wrong at some point, but I hope I'm wrong. All right. Under a minute to go. We actually start on the back straightaway here, so we really only have the final two left-handers where we take the green flag. So tires are going to be essentially ice cold. So I wish there was some tire warming function, or they gave you a full lap to put heat in tires, or tire blankets, or some modeling where we didn't all start on cold tires. Would be nice, but it's not necessarily what happens in real life either. So we're all dealt the same hand. So let's all try to make it work. But starting P8 outside 4th row with a big prototype, fast prototype field. So we're going to really try to stay out of their way tonight. Want to run my race and not let it interfere, but at least they're skilled drivers. Hopefully they'll keep it nice and clean for us. But all right, you got everything set up for our pit stop? You got our fuel set, Garrett? Garrett?
Captain, what's up?
Got our pit stop stuff set up? 30 liters, right side tires only?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Prototype field is rolling off. What's interesting in these wet conditions that we noticed earlier is that the GTP field and the LMP2 field in the wet run exactly the same lap time. So the fast LMP2s are going to be right up in the business of the slower GTP field. So not my problem, but it does mean that those two classes are going to be trying to run their own races amongst each other. So it looks like the prototypes are about to take off. So we're going to go any second now, probably. Hope this Iron Lynx Lambo doesn't take me out. All right, one down. Let's go. Let's go racing. 45 minutes to go. Could be about 24, 25 laps, depending. Whew. All right, big spray. Got to take it nice and easy in here. Have a nice gap to behind. Not going to be too aggressive at the start, but we don't want to leave anything on the table either. Got to stay off of that apex while there's a puddle there. Looks like a prototype went off. On traction control. Porsches put power down so well. I don't know how they do it. Oh, our cold tires are killing us right now. Ah, man. Golly. A short shift because it's not going to put power down in first anyway. Lambo's got the inside here. Can't do anything about it. And I'm going to slide off. Not much I can do about that. Those Porsches just seem so much more planted in the wet. I did spend a brief session driving a Porsche in the rain at VIR, and I was blown away. Makes me really question why I'm driving the Mercedes sometimes, but the Mercedes got its own strengths, but it just may not be shown in the rain right now. So, all right, only got a 1x for going off track. Not a big deal.
That's right. You got it.
Oh, and the Lambo spins too. No harm, no foul. Nice to know I'm not the only one making mistakes. Starting to feel the tire temp come in a little bit, at least. Tire temp started 100 degrees Fahrenheit, I believe. Fahrenheit, yeah. Too aggressive on the brake pedal. We're up to 150 or so in the front, about the same in the rear. Normally we want them closer to the 160s and 170s. And then when it starts drying, we're closer to 200. And that's probably when we're getting pretty close to being ready for slick tires when they're getting that hot. 210, and it's probably time to switch over. So yeah, imagine that even in a cold day in Italy, like this is modeled at, I think it's like 60 degrees Fahrenheit ambient temp. I don't know what that is.
About 19 Celsius.
Okay, thank you for doing that conversion, reading my mind. Even on a cold day, we're still generating, a cold, wet day, we're still generating very serious tire temperature. That's mostly because that not only is the tread of the tire naturally different and it's got treads to allow the water to escape, but also the compound of the rubber that is used is much softer than even a normal slick tire. Just knowing that it's going to be in a much colder environment, cold, wet. So that tire still gets really hot and sticky, believe it or not. I've seen it plenty in real life. You come in from a pit stop in a wet session, and as soon as the car stops moving, you see all the steam pouring off of the tire. It's pretty cool to see. Oh, Porsche's going to dive. I don't know what. Oh, please don't make contact. Thank you. I don't know how he had the grip to do that, but I'm not going to let him have it, but Oh, big slide from the Porsche too. All right, I'm not alone in being sideways most of the time then.
Heads up, we got a P2 about 3 seconds out.
Copy, thank you. Looks like it's a wrecked P2 or he went off or something.
It seems
Sick.
like it's usually the only one in the pack that's a bag of GT3 back there. I did see a PT go off earlier, so it's probably him.
Yeah. All right. Tires are definitely coming up. Fronts are in the low 160s. Rears are in nearly 170 now. Is what I want to be seeing. That means we're kind of where we need to be. Still not as good as the dry naturally, but at least we got all the grip we're going to be able to get out of these. Oh, no, 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 no. Don't want to ruin their race. That looks like it was most of the GT field, so man. All right, well, maybe there are penalties for making mistakes in the rain. That's what I get for talking crap.
Heads up, GTP pack is approaching.
Copy. Man, that puddle, I said it earlier, I got to stay off of it. Well, I was giving it enough room, but that's what you get. All right, got the leading GTPs coming through.
3 seconds to the lead.
Copy.
GTP go for a pass.
Okay.
He is the leader.
Yep.
Second place, not far behind.
Mm-hmm. Man, what is going on? Shame on me if that was my fault. I didn't think that was on me, but I thought I was leaving enough room for that Ferrari, but I don't know. We'll review that afterwards. I'm sorry, that Ferrari guy, if that's on me. Did not mean to take him out. Sorry, Vincent. Thought I left room. Maybe that was net code a little bit.
Heads up, you got prototypes approaching, about 6 seconds out.
Mhm.
Looks about 2 or 3 of them.
If you want to drop a text in the chat, Garrett, just to apologize on my behalf to Vincent, I would appreciate that.
I was about to, and he just left.
Apologies. Was not my intent.
Prototypes coming on you now. One more coming.
Okay.
I should pick it 2, 3. Yeah. 4. All right, you seem to be in the heart of the field.
Okay. I just don't want to get hit from behind by these prototypes. That I can't do anything about. Get out of the way, but you hit me from behind. I don't know what you want me to do. We've had that happen in the past couple races.
Two more prototypes. Sorry.
That's okay. All right, long way to go. Oh, I see my peak is at 119. Who's upset that they're off by 1 BPM right now?
That would be TJ. I'm sitting here praying that we get to 125 without an incident.
All right, it could still happen. I'm trying to push the best I can here.
We got 3 more prototypes coming in.
I'm not withholding. That's for sure. Well, not my best race, folks. I don't know if that one was on me. I
It
don't
looks
think
like you're
so.
leaving him space. I'm not sure if he
Yeah, he
turned in.
didn't.
I was
He didn't
watching
leave.
the rear cam.
He didn't leave much room for me. I don't know what he wanted to happen there.
You got 3 more prototypes coming in.
Yep. Time and time again, these prototypes overestimate the maneuverability of these GT3 cars, especially in these wet conditions. No, they're in a faster car, but that does not mean that their race is more important than mine is.
3 more prototypes coming in.
Yeah, it looks like this GTP field is mixed up with the P2 field pretty heavily.
Yes, very, very heavily.
Makes
I'm
for an
sure they're all very frustrated with each other.
Yeah. Why did this next apex of Tamburello?
Good news is it
There
seems
we
we are out of the prototype traffic. We got some breathing room.
Okay.
We got 3 seconds to the nearest GT3 car.
You got this. A lot of race left.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I mean, in some ways, it's a little disheartening to make some mistakes, or just regardless who was at fault, to just be kind of collected up and stuff like that. But there's still a race to run, so that's what I try to focus forward on. And we work with a lot of drivers that, yeah, we all make mistakes. Verstappen, well, maybe Verstappen doesn't make mistakes, but nearly every other driver on the planet makes mistakes. He's historically made mistakes too. I'm not even going to joke about that.
P2 coming up on you right now.
Yep.
About a second and a half out. Just him.
But the best thing you can do is just focus forward. Even in real racing, we Garrett, Daphne, and I were at Dubai in January for the 24, working with CP Racing, an AMG GT3 team in top class. So it was a 24-hour race. We were about 11 and a half hours in. AMGs normally are super bulletproof, super reliable. Don't ever have any problems. But we had Darren Law in the car, factory Porsche driver for a long time. Shout out to Darren if you're watching. And we had a transmission failure as we were coming across the start-finish line 11 and a half hours in. All of a sudden, we lost all gears. The car slowed down. It wouldn't make any power. We couldn't shift. Came into the pit lane. Very quickly, the team did their checks on everything. Very quickly diagnosed we lost gear oil pressure, I think it was, as a result of a bearing going down. That In a matter of a few seconds, that gearbox probably grenaded itself. Wish we had a camera on the inside of the gearbox to see what that actually looked like, but I'm sure stuff was orange hot in there. But in any case, all you can do is fix the car and get it back out there. So team did an awesome job. All I did was clean some of the crap off the car. In the meantime, and give them the parts and tools they needed, we swapped the transmission out in under 100 minutes, which is no small feat in that Mercedes. And then we got back out there. Obviously, we were out of contention for an overall win, but we still did secure enough points. I'm trying to think, what did we get out of that one? I think the team, they still managed to finish. We still won the GT3 AM title, so we still recovered enough points.
I took a P2 coming on your side.
Yep.
Right now.
We still salvaged enough points to win a championship title for the Middle East Trophy. So that part was good, but you know, we even had 11 hours to go and we're 30 laps down, and it's a bit disheartening, but all you can do is get in and drive and run the rest of your race.
Yeah, Rocco also says hello.
What's up, Rocco? How's it going, bud? So Rocco is one of our members here, assuming this is Rocco Pascarella.
Yes, it is.
One of our members here. We do a lot of training with him. We helped him recently get ready to do an LMP3 shootout with Mjolnir Motorsports over in Europe that he actually got selected for the first round out of a bunch of other drivers. He's never been in an LMP3 before, let alone in Europe driving a race car. And we did a lot of prep with him to prepare from driving what he's used to with the NB or NC MX5 spec car over to a high downforce, high powered prototype in a country he's never been to before.
I took P2 traffic approaching.
Copy. And he went over and kicked butt and then made it to the second round and then showed really well there too. That was at Aragon the first round, and the second one was at Barcelona. So thanks for checking in, Rocco. I know you've got a race at VIR this weekend, I believe, that we got you ready for. So best of luck at that if we don't see you this week.
Heads up, you get the GTP leader approaching,
Copy.
as well as some P2s.
Copy. So we're back up where we started, up in 8th place, believe it or not. Fortunately, we've got a bit of a distance to the next position car, but it doesn't mean that there's an opportunity to still capitalize here.
P2 approaching rapidly, about a second out.
Copy.
Got another P2 approaching. 5 second out. Right on top of you.
Help me keep an eye on this Porsche behind. I know he's been there this whole time, but I know it's for position.
Yep, he's about a second out, and you got a P2. The leader P2 is about 14.5 seconds out. Also, Rocco says, thanks, Greg, and everyone at TCC. We had a huge step toward climbing into the LMP3. We are driving to VIR, ready for the prep to pay off.
All right, there we go. Thanks, Rocco. Best of luck this weekend. And shout out to other fellow MX5 racer, Max Schwei. I'm not sure if he's tuning in tonight, but good luck to him. I know he'll be there as well because we did some work getting him ready. You guys are in different classes, so I don't feel too guilty about wishing both of you luck. So it's always a bit difficult to work with two drivers who are in the same class. How do you handle that whole situation? But you guys get along pretty well, so. Man, this thing is a handful. It doesn't feel like it's drying at all. Probably doesn't help that there's total cloud cover right now too. So the track's really not drying. I'm still a couple seconds off per lap from what the leaders are doing. I'm not sure there's much I can really do about that.
Heads up, you get the lead P2 approaching, and we also have a lap GT3 car about 8 seconds ahead.
Copy. The track's drying because Trambarel is a little bit easier now. It's getting better, but
Lead P2 closing in quickly.
copy.
What on top of you?
So for an abundance of caution, I'm actually running probably the highest TC and ABS settings I've ever run in this car. So it's giving me the most help just to make it a little bit more conservative and controllable, predictable, you know, all that. So in this car, that's position 1 on traction control. So I actually can't really go any more aggressive than where it is right now. I'm just having so much wheel spin that any of the help I
The
get.
GTP's approaching quick, 2 of them. They're fighting for position.
Got it.
And you got 2 more approaching as well.
Copy. I just actually went up to position 2 on traction control, and I've been at ABS 2 for a while now, but we'll maybe play with those if we need to.
Looks like we have 2 or 3 more P2s approaching. Yep, make it 3.
A bit wide. If you guys are watching, feel free to drop a comment. Tell us your take on how I'm doing right now, or let us know what you'd like to see in a future stream here. Our plan is to run the rest of the IMSA iRacing season and pick up as many points as we're able to have some sort of competitive results in the overall points ranking at the end of the season. But beyond that, we're not sure if we're going to be running same class, same car next season, or maybe a different series. We're not sure yet, but we may add some cool other elements and spin-off streams that we do from time to time as well. But if you've got an idea of what you want to see us do with all this really cool space and these really cool sims, then drop us a comment in the chat.
2 P2s approaching rapidly. On top of you now.
Oh, I left the door open, but he didn't take it. Up to P7, so I'm not sure if someone pitted or if someone just made a mistake. I think we can pit any time now, but I'm going to try to run as long as I can on this fuel.
Yeah, we have about 4 laps of fuel left.
Yeah. I'm thinking our fuel number is going to be that same 30 that we talked about, Garrett.
Copy that. And that's all set. Looks like we got two P2s approaching behind the Porsche behind us.
Copy.
Approaching pretty quickly.
How's the gap to that Porsche behind that's in class?
About almost 2 seconds. We're
All
holding
right.
pretty consistent. He doesn't seem to be making a move. I think he's just running his race to get some safety out of this.
Copy. This is the slickest, I think, wet session I've done here at Imola.
Another P2 approaching, and then
Copy.
another one behind him, about 3 seconds out. Yeah, we've got two P2s approaching now.
All right. All right. We're going to stop in about 3 laps. Track is drying for sure.
You got a GTP approaching.
Copy. There's a little bit of sun peeking out now. I'm starting to see. That's going to help it dry pretty rapidly. There's no chance we're going to be on slicks before the end of the race. I can promise you that much. Unless at the very end, but I don't see how anyone would have a reasonable pit window to be able to do that. Still very wet, but it is improving. You know what I wish we had? That Gran Turismo does a nice job of. It's not exactly a measurement that we would have in real life, simplified the way that it is. But for any of you guys who've driven Gran Turismo, if you drive in a wet race over there, it gives you this like tread depth indication in wet weather. So it shows you how deep the rain is, and you get really familiar with how that gauge works. You know whether you should be on dries, intermediates, or wets. Gran Turismo is the second best rain modeling I've seen out there. iRacing still takes the cake, but Gran Turismo is really good, which, and honestly, for being console based, is really impressive. All right, track's definitely getting faster every lap here.
We got about 3 prototypes approaching behind the GT3 behind us.
Copy.
Approaching very rapidly on
Yep.
top of us now.
That's really close. You guys are having a good race. 2 GTPs and a P2. Or 2 P2s and a GTP, excuse me. The Acura looks like a P2 at sometimes. Whew. All right, one more lap. And we're going to box for fuel and
Yep, we got about a
right
lap and a
side
half.
tires. Got 13 minutes to go in this race. I think the 30 liters is 1 lap heavy, but I'm okay just with taking that.
We got 2 GTP cars behind us, approaching very quickly.
Copy. All right, box. Hopefully that wasn't speeding. All right. All right, let's do this. Short sprint to the end. Big burnout to help with tire temp. Don't loop it though. But we'll see where we are after we come out here on pit cycle and everything like that. I'm not sure we're going to keep our 7th place position. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I don't know. It looks like we're going to lose 1 there, so we'll be P8. Precisely where we started.
You're clear to re-enter track.
Copy.
You got a P2 coming behind you, but that's about it.
Copy.
It seems we're actually still holding 7th.
Cool. Looks like some of the Porsches were able to go another lap longer on fuel than us. So they can probably pit this lap. So that'll be probably the end of the GT3 pit stop. So we'll really see where we are after that.
You got 2 more P2s approaching. 3 actually.
Copy.
Only 1 within a few seconds, so those are about 9 and 10 seconds back respectively.
Copy. Yeah, the rest of the field took rain tires, so no surprise there. Looks like some of the GTPs are on slicks, though. Not sure how that's possible. Oh yeah, things are getting better for us. It's getting drier.
You got about another 3 P2s approaching.
Copy. P2 got super sideways exiting that chicane there.
Got 3 prototypes approaching, very close.
Copy. The exit of a corner on the outside, that's not how that works there, Chief. I'm not wrong on that one. Not sure what that prototype was doing in the dirt trying to rejoin like that.
Seemed like he thought you were just gonna let him by, and when you actually drove your line, he didn't know what to do and probably locked up the brakes.
That's on him, not me.
Yep.
That is not my mistake for once in this race. So we're P7 still. All right.
Yep, you had another prototype approaching right now. And then another 2 or 3 after him, but they're over 10 seconds out, so you got some time.
Copy. Looks like there's a small chance of rain before the end of the race, but I don't think it's going to change much, if anything. Might have a shot at catching this Christopher Lee's guy. I think that was the guy that was behind me the whole time, so I guess we lost a
It
little.
was.
Probably
I guess
lost.
he,
We took an extra lap of fuel, so maybe that's where some of that came from. So.
yeah, I guess so. Might have been. I wonder when he stopped for fuel, though.
I think he went a lap longer than us, I believe.
Maybe.
When I came in, he continued, and I know the Porsches went another lap on fuel, so.
Heads up, you got 3 more P2s coming up on you now.
Copy.
First one's approaching. 2 next to about 4 seconds out.
Yep. Looks like that there's 2 Porsches there that I can possibly have a chance at. I'm catching them both here, and they're both on top of each other, so there may be an opportunity. Maybe. We'll see. The whole P2 field's coming through here one final time.
Yep, you got about 2 more. coming through. Another one behind them. You have some time before he arrives.
That was a late plunge there, bud.
2 more prototypes approaching.
Copy. Two, 3 laps remaining, looks like, depending on where the leader is.
Yeah, about 3.5 minutes left. So about 2 or 3 laps, yes.
Big Tamburello flat now. There we go. That's what I was hoping for. 2 positions. Just from keeping my nose clean. Cool. All right. Well, I'm P5 now.
You got 2 P2s, or 2 rather GTB and a P2 approaching on you right now.
Okay.
Very quickly.
That was a close pass. For what it's worth, guys, I'm trying my hardest to raise my heart rate, but doing everything I can here to focus. I mean, I am focusing, but I don't know if my heart rate's going to get much higher as a result. I don't know what that says about me.
It says that you're definitely pretty calm under pressure, so keep it up.
Copy that. Been inconsistent there all night for sure. Porsche up ahead is down a lap, it looks like, so nothing
Yep,
to be
2
gained.
cars down a lap up ahead, and you also have 2 P2s approaching. One is 2 seconds out, the other one is 8 seconds out.
Copy that. Ooh, a little hot that time. Come on. Even room for that Porsche in all fairness, that was my mistake. White flag, want to go. Maybe I'll have a shot at this Porsche, but I'm not going to force anything. Oh, he went wide. Oh, I get it back. All right. Well, good race, Christopher. That was we both made our trade-off of mistakes there, but that was a fun one to have the competition there regardless.
Fantastic racing. Had me on
Yeah.
the edge of my seat. We're getting a bit loose there. I was getting real worried.
All right. All right. Oh, short shifted bump in the shifter. That's a P6. Or no, that'll be P5 because I inherited.
P5, baby. Let's go.
All right, that's another P5 finish. I think that's what, 3 out of our 4 of our streams here.
Yep.
So, all right, we'll take that and what I presume is the top split of the evening. So, all right, well, not my cleanest race. We did have some contact and errors there that, with that effort, if I got to P5, I probably could have gotten on the podium if I kept it clean. But that was a really hard one to keep clean there. So I did the best I could, but see if we can go back and find some of those errors I made or others made. I think some of them are really close judgment calls, but we'll take a peek. I'm going to pull over and stop here. Oh, all right. Well, I'm exhausted again. All right.
I don't know if you saw, but 2 guys ended up dropping connection literally right before the white flag.
Oh, no, that's terrible.
Yeah, just like what happened earlier in our previous race.
Oh, all right. Well, let's click back and watch some of the start action here.
Greg, turn around and give Daphne a thumbs up.
All right, so we're on qualifying. Let's look at this race start. Back it up a little bit. So rolling off from the grid. Got a Rexy behind me. Looks like the Iron Lynx GT3 livery on the yellow Lambo. Cool liveries tonight. I recognize, I think, is that the Risi Ferrari livery behind me? This is where we went green because the prototype field took off. So I had a good jump on the Lambo to start here. Tires were ice cold. This Lambo spun, that's right. Had a good run out of the final corner onto the front stretch for the first time. Right behind our buddy Adam Polster. I'm not sure if you're still watching, but that was a good race. I think you finished ahead of me if I saw correctly. All right, right behind Adam into turn 1.
Oh yeah, he was right ahead of you.
Yeah, look at that, right? Not sure where he finished. This is pretty good for the first few here. I think there was a little bit of carnage from the prototype field in front of us coming into the 5-6 chicane. I really need to know the corner numbers here, or names rather. Love watching this from a broadcast perspective afterwards. Looks so different than it felt in the cockpit. Oh, you can see how much I'm fighting for traction there. I think I went a bit wide here, if I remember correctly. Yep. Lambo
Yeah,
got
Adam just said that he was P4 and he was the Rexy car.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Said he was slow but never spun.
Good. You did better than I did. I don't know if you run other races this week at Imola here, Adam, but we did one a couple hours ago. And as much as all this practice has been like, I think 80 or 90% likelihood for rain, the practice we did was the practice race we did was an entirely dry race. So not even checking, I assumed it was going to be wet for the qualifying. So I went out on rain tires and it was totally dry. So I qualified in the dry on wet tires and was 8 seconds off or something like that. And then fortunately, oh, that's where I went wide. And then I obviously switched to slicks for the rest of the race, but Shame on me for not checking in the practice session what the actual conditions were. A nice choice with the Rexy livery too. That's been a popular one. I'm pretty sure that's, if I was in the Porsche, if we didn't have our Chicane Club one, that's the livery I would be running. Well, I'd have Josiah make it for us, right, bud? Josiah can't hear me right now, but I know he would say yes. All right, I want to fast forward and see where some of these mistakes were. We're gonna blast through this. Oh, that's where the yellow Lambo spun in front of us. At some point here, I think that was the Ferrari. I remember what order everything happened in. I think I went a bit deep here at one point. This Porsche got by me. Didn't put up much of a fight on it. Got the inside line. Not sure how the grip to pull that off, but he did. Let's see. Bit deep there. I don't know how that looked for you, from you guys back there. Looked like a good one.
Yeah, it was good for sure. Very tense race.
Yeah.
Surprised you didn't hit your 120 BPM there.
Yeah, one BPM away. All right, I want to review this a little bit and just confirm what I think happened here. This is totally an error on my part. No one is around for this one. All right, so let's back this up a little bit. We'll switch to the cockpit view and confirm what I think I already know here is I was going through Tamburello, hit the big puddle on the inside with a little bit too much power, and it just over-rotated, just like that. Yep. My big concern was trying not to hit the wall too hard and not getting anyone's way here. I was trying to loop it the best I could, but I didn't want to get in anyone's way. So not much I could do with that, but just recover and focus forward. And then I think at some point we caught up to the Ferrari. That's where I think I made contact with him. So apologies again to him. Not 100% sure it was my fault, but in any case, I don't want to take anyone's out of the race. So let's watch this right here. Do our far chase cam so we get the overhead view. I know the prototype was coming through, and then because the Ferrari had gone off, I had a really fast run on him, and I tried to go wide here. Oh no, that's on me. I drove into the back of him. I am so sorry, Vincent, if you're watching this. My apologies for misjudging that. Thought I had more room there. That's a shame on me. Sorry for taking out and being another dummy on iRacing. But mistakes happen. It's happened to me plenty of times, so my apologies. All right, let's see what else we have here. Some point, what else happened here? Craziness with the prototypes coming through. I know I went off here in the double left at some point much later, but I think that's essentially where we recovered to because Christopher Lees was following us for a while after that. So, that's where I made contact with the prototypes. This is the one I wanted to look at and see if this was on me or not. All right. All right, so, all right, well, this is a tough one to call. I'm definitely on the best arc that I'm able to manage here on the inside, leaving plenty of room, and that prototype comes over. And I have nowhere to go but into him. He kind of chops off my nose, we would say. So I think that's kind of on him. So maybe that's karma for me punting the Ferrari off. What goes around comes around. So I won't fight that one too much. But in this instance, isolated, I think that's on our friend here in the 24 BMW. What am I? So Anyways, we recovered. So I think from that, it was a pretty clean race. Otherwise, I think I made some small errors where I went off track once in the double left, closer to the end. So yeah. All right. Well, let's see how this reflected in our iRacing results with my iRating and safety rating. So yes, what do we get? 63 points up on iRating, which is my highest ever score now, 2165, and kind of a nominal hit to my safety rating down to a 3.2 flat. So I'll take that. Again, apologies for the mistakes with the other drivers interfering with what happened there, but it's really hard to keep it clean. I think anyone who's driven in the rain knows that stuff just happens sometimes. So yeah, let's wrap it up. As always, want to thank all of our partners. Here we got Southway Capital, our business partners in developing our business here at the Chicane Club. Decipher Technologies helping us with everything networking, IT, cybersecurity related here. We have some really cool improvements coming to the shop here in the next couple months. We've got Race Logic with our lap timer over here. We capture all of our live video and data, and then I get a live split time display right on this display here. We could literally unplug this from our sim right here, plug in a GPS antenna and put it in a real car, and then it could capture all of our lap timing data in a real car at a real racetrack just by swapping out some of the plugs. Big shout out to Sabelt America. They've got us with the seat belts and my gloves here. Finest maker of all sorts of high quality driver gear, all the way up of all levels of motorsports, all the way up into Formula One. So you name it, they make it. And that's why we use it here. Thanks to Rocky's Ultimate Auto Garage. They do tints, wheels, wraps, and tints. So we do a lot of stuff with them. They've been a big supporter and member here. We do a lot of stuff back and forth all the time. Captain's chair coaching, some executive and business coaching to help us stay on the straight and narrow here and building this business into something really fun. I think that's just covers just about everything we have going on tonight in terms of partners. If you're a brand, company, partner, or anything like that, you're interested in getting a partnership with us, we can provide some value back and forth with each other. Or if you just want your logo on the stream, you name it, we can make it happen here. Send us an email, info@thechicane.club. If you don't already, go to our Instagram at thechicane.club. Give us a follow over there. Stay tuned for everything we got going on. If you're local to us here in West Palm Beach, send us a message somehow on either Instagram or via email. We'd love to have you come in for a demo sometime and get you guys signed up for membership, starting at just $175 a month to drive this sim right here and be in this space at least 3 times a month, and plus plenty more beyond that. So thanks to everyone helping me out here in the club tonight. We've got Garrett spotting and helping me out with strategy. We've got TJ Moore, who helped out with the stream production, making everything kind of run behind the scenes. Daphne on running everything on the YouTube side of things and handling social media. Josiah from Replica Racing in the house tonight, who does all our wraps and liveries, and on all of our imagery. We've got our little dog Bo. And yeah, to everyone at home, thanks for tuning in again, and we'll go racing. Does anyone know offhand what the race is next week? I want to say Long Beach. Here, let's look real quick.
I don't remember.
Yeah, let's see. What do we have? Road Atlanta. All right.
Okay, I was about to start praying for your safety rating there, but I think we're all fine.
Oh, well, we got 2 weeks before we need to worry about that one. But yeah, Road Atlanta. Okay, so track up in Brazelton, Georgia. I've been there many times. I've strategized and helped engineer cars for the Petit Le Mans IMSA finale 10-hour race there many times with a Mercedes GT3 car. So that's a place that we know extremely well. I'm not sure what the weather conditions are going to be like for that one. It has rained there for the Petit Le Mans, or at least on that race weekend, a number of times. So who knows what we'll actually see there. But that's going to be a really fun one. Home track for us. Well, home track, I say. It's about an 8-hour drive from here, but it's pretty close to us in the States here, and one of the bigger tracks that's around. So that's going to be a fun one. But I'll say good night, or good